as we watch the market on day to day and think about like how severe this decline could be, hopefully we would go through all of these 5 points. The first point being, are we falling in the stock market because there is, it's the end of a bubble, and or is there some kind of black swan event? So when we think about obviously 2000 to 2002, that was the end of the dot-com bubble. When we look at 08, 09, we think of the great financial crisis. That was a black swan event driven by greed in subprime debt mortgages and huge leverage in the banking sector. That was a black swan event. Very, very, very few people spotted that, and even fewer people profited from that, right? And COVID, another great example where most of us weren't really aware of what that was until we started seeing the market fall, triggering big news headlines, which triggered even more falls and more fear. So if we think about that as one key element of a checklist, then let's think about 2025, right? Banking system is in good shape. They've been helping the S&P 500 post record profits. There's no pandemic, but right now, what's obviously hitting the headlines right now is the great uncertainty regarding what our federal government is going to look like down the road, and how that will affect consumer sentiment and confidence. So does that grow into something that could be like a black swan event? I don't know, but it is something new, and that's why it's interesting. Oh, and also before I forget, obviously the threat of tariffs. We have that example back in the 30s, right, when the Smoot-Hawley tariffs on various imports was taken in measure. Now, I don't know how much we can apply that part of history to what is going on today, partly because one, the economy and the global economy is much more complex and much bigger. When you go back to the 30s, the 1930s, and look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average in the later part of the 30s, boy, there were several declines of 50% in the Dow well after that peak in the fall of 1929. So for sure, I think scholars will say that the tariffs helped lengthen that long period of malaise.
I learned that from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Ben Stein, did go through that in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Not many people remember when he was saying Bueller, he was talking about the Smoot-Hawley, and tariffs. That's what it was all about. And look, we do have a little bit of tariffs with China from the first Trump administration to kind of look at. Right. But even that, the environment was different. There were different gauges of inflation and where we were at in some of that, and also recovery modes and supply chains. So some people are saying, can we even use that as an example? From the same president just a few years earlier.
Exactly, and well said. I mean, when we think about 2017 being one of the calmest bull markets in recent time, then 2018 there was a little more volatility, and part of that was due to the Fed's reaction to the tariffs and inflation. Well, I mean, maybe there we can find a precedent, and by looking at the end of 2018.